smoke, doesn't find anything as it completely gets countered out by the Sparrow. Good trade of focus as Learn takes his attention back towards the top side at Patio. All of Elevator coming through, but he runs out of shots, and now it's just down to what can Neutrino find with the god like War Machine out.
It was just one War Machine that Kennedy pulled out for Elevate. The response for Godlike were 3 operators in tow, and only one of them realistically found somewhat of a value, and that was to end up being Neutrino with that War Machine themselves. But it's still Elevate, hanging around the joint, trying to get a little bit more space further forward. Is Godlike just trying to unearth Elevate to get more time here at the end of P3?
Honestly, these have been 2 really good hard points for Godlike, fighting from inside the hill.
Yeah.
They're not controlling Patio. They're not controlling the back spawns. They're allowing Elevate to spawn to the backside of the map, but Godlike say, we'll take the first 35, 40 seconds, let you spawn back, get the scrap time, and then we'll just rotate freely again. So it's a macro game that's exchanging 40s for 20s, which the mathematicians out there, you don't need a PhD to know that that's enough to likely win the game if that continues.
But it is only a 2-point game. Elevate will be over by the rocks first. Some split spawns will start to come through. Starting to open things up with the Purifier, and then immediately the Equalizer just both shut down. Just no return of investment there. So Godlike trying to utilize their numbers, trying to push a little bit further forward. So much easier said than done.
Purifier shut down though in Trunks' hands. Abiz cleaning things up with the Annihilator. Yopi, backside of the hill, hoping that his teammates could clear things out from the front side at Tiles, and Yopi's done well. Okay, couple to come through, smoke out, but doesn't really do too much to deter this Elevate break from the front. Abiz in trouble, dealt with, and now Elevate's starting to really heat things up as now really the operators are completely extinguished.
Yeah, the Equalizer finally able to be fully pulled out there for close, trying for the past 4 lives just to maybe find value, but Kennedy just marches forward, finds 3. And then the final few cleanups come through before we get back towards the center of the map. And again, it's been a tale of 2 different conversations. Godlike fundamentally sound, as you were pointing out there at the end of P3, with inside of the hard point just being able to play such superior positioning, but Elevate, scrappy as ever, just always hanging around, and will maintain this 15-point lead.
Yeah, really the only difference in this map is the 15 extra seconds that Elevate found on P1.
On P1, yeah.
Yeah, so Godlike, I would say, better in P2, P3 than Elevate, who has found more success on these more 50-50 hard points.
That's right.
Back into the middle of the map we go. Even pinstripe kill feed for the time being as we just get trades back and forth. Elevate still inside the time, but Godlike finally a chance to displace him.
Trying to at least finesse down low. We'll start to see numbers subsiding. The team in blue, that will be Godlike. But most importantly, they're trying to maintain presence over by the lobby of the mansion as well. Elevate should be able to read this. There's 25 seconds left to play for, but they can't find the kills. It's just Kennedy to show up in the kill feed so far, and Trunks will take down PJ as well. So Godlike bouncing back fiercely here in P1 as well, soaking up some more time while also maintaining the correct side of the map ahead of the rotation.
That's exactly right. As they will make their way from window to window. Susano doing what he can to get this scrap time confirmed. Elevate gonna have to stack up and decide how they want to try to break this next setup from the front. Susano, good read on the Trunks behind him. Now allows Elevate just to completely keep their focus on the front. There are operators out and ready. Kennedy, Yopi gonna pull out the most explosive of the 2. War Machine and Sparrow are being committed, but the counter from Lord is supreme. He's able to find 3. The follow-up now for Neutrino, and Godlike once again able to win over the first parts of P2.
From inside the hard point, their hard work is paying off here, playing for the rotation when there was still 30 seconds left over by P1. Claw invested now for Susano as Elevate are able to break their way back inside the hard point. And look at where Godlike, they're all trapped over by the driveway side, still trying to scrap their way forward for the back 30.
Pinch from Susano on the back. Oh, but it's Yopi who's able to step on up, find himself 2. Susano now coming from the front with Elevate, trying to split focus hit this break. Looking good, 20 seconds to fight for, and Godlike are stuck, spawning over towards fences. They may need to chalk and rotate here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely do. You can already see at least one player is trying to move his way all the way through the garden side. If you spawn close, maybe try to make it threatening to fight for the scrap time, but what a bounce back coming through from Elevate. I mean, where Godlike found so much success within the first set of hard points starting on P2, Elevate just eviscerate them all. You do have operators available for Godlike on this hold. You feel like that you need at least 40 seconds here.
Yeah, Prevail just trying to make a mess of the rotation, doing what he can on an island, and he's done well. Prevail for 4 in a row. Equalizer's at the ready. Trying to re-clean up the backside at Patio. Gets into the office nicely. A read on one more player. The Equalizers are out. And how about this call from Prevail, who's starting to chew through this Elevate defense. Able to find himself on 5. Pred Missile going to be earned. Susano with the shutdown, but Godlike in from the front.
Was that enough to be able to help things out? Like PJ is going to pull out the Purifier and just going to get immediately shot down, but it's actually the rest of Elevate that are finding a lot of trade kills, and it's allowing them to get more of this time. Godlike, although Prevail might bounce back here with 2 kills of the Hunter Killer drone. Is it going to be enough to work their way fully back in? Elevate, their win condition is set. So long as they continue to keep it scrappy and get at least 20 seconds on every single hill, they will win at the end.
And Godlike continue to almost voluntarily give up some of these really key power positions around the hard point. This is the second straight P3 we've had where Elevate have just kind of jumped in from top patio. Often more contested than what we've seen, as now PJ starting to light things up on 6 in a row. Pred Missile just to confirm the scrap time as the rotation is already underway for the rest of Elevate. Surely they get past the 200-point mark here.
Yeah, you would feel like it. I mean, look at all the space that they currently have for themselves. It's a split spawn. You got players over by the Shark Tank in the office as well. Players spawning over by the boathouse. Players just lurking over by Lambo, waiting for assistance. But Elevate, they smell blood in the water.
Unreal stuff. As bums is the word here for how Godlike have played these last 2 hard points. Elevate, locking things down, just spamming things out with operators. Only thing available is Neutrino's War Machine for now. Prevail, nice double from the outside of the open steps. Godlike able to follow up behind that. Yopi now having earned a Sparrow, says that this is the time to go. Not able to connect with anything yet, but all the split focus back over towards the front is perfect. The trophy does not get down in time, and Elevate continue to soak up more scrap time.
Yeah, I mean, there's not enough time to win here if you are Elevate. That much is evident. But Godlike, they just so desperately need every single second that might be available for their game. Learn will end up finding 2. Let's go to a listen in here now with Godlike to see how they might bounce back ahead of the P1.
Castle spawn है guys. दो लोग chess. एक लगता है castle top एक chess.
कैसल टॉप डेड
चेस मारा मैंने एक को एक और है
कैसल टॉप लो बी मिड 2 बंदे
एक ब्राउन टॉप से आ गया ओबीजे और एक ब्राउन टॉप है एक ब्राउन टॉप
कैसल के साइड ओबीजे गाइस वो ओबीजे चढ़ के खेल
2-3 बंदे P1 में
कैसल टॉप भी था एक
कौन पुश किया
कौन और पॉइंट
कैसल टॉप ही काट रहा है एक यूपी
Not good news here for Godlike as Elevate continue to do the dirty work here at P1. PJ locking down the purifier to make sure no one gets in towards the bottom bar, and they could just win it out right here. You've got Hunter Killers, you've got Predator Missiles, you've got more operators to throw in at this. Although Godlike do shut a lot of that down and keep themselves alive for a little while longer.
And calling in the Predator Missile while you already have an active purifier. Trunks just simply will not let it go to waste. Has currently found himself 6 in a row. Is still alive on the map, by the way, and currently just being a thorn in the side of Elevate, who just needs 10 more points.
Yep. Could very well do it on the rotation over towards P2. They're even finding a little bit of the scrap time here on the first hill as well. Godlike will get the benefit of the spawns towards new. Trunks also popped off. He's able to get himself into a Pred Missile. That will clear some of the space. Yopi from the inside, though, goes completely unguarded. And Yopi almost wins the game himself. But you had to think that the double is likely enough as Elevate can now flood him through the side steps, and there's no chance for Godlike to fight back. 250, 144. Elevate cruise to a map 1 win.
Very, very similar of what we had at CDSI when these 2 teams did meet. The hard points, at least respectable for a scoreline, and Godlike started off so well when it came down to Hacienda hardpoint, playing fundamentally sound, playing for the spawns, giving up the back 20 seconds and setting up with superior positioning. But Elevate are just like a bunch of cockroaches when it comes down to these break attempts. They just keep flooding in the numbers of the right position and the right times. And as you were pointing out, it just kept on unearthing Godlike from such powerful positions time and time again. It inevitably led to their resource advantage, which did win them the game.
Well, the interesting thing about it, and we'll kind of see it on the minimap through these replays, is the amount of times that Godlike just kind of voluntarily decided we wanted to play from inside the hill and not really zone out with the proximal spawns in their favor. You know, kind of highlighting that in particular, P2, they tried to keep Godlike spawning towards fences side. It worked out for a while to get into the hard point, but as soon as the driveway flips, Elevate find a way to re-break in. Same thing for P3. You're playing back of fences, not top patio.
Yep.
You're allowing Elevate to initially say, hey, we got a lot of space here. They figured out the second rotation in particular, and they absolutely punished Godlike for not playing aggressively around the hill.
Yeah, I think in layman's terms, like, Godlike were playing super reactionary, where you had Elevate that were constantly being proactive, just always altering how they were looking on the map, just always making sure that they were finding at least a handful of kills, opening up a different opportunity through the multitude of different hard points that we did have. It's a big step in the right direction coming through from Elevate off of their CDSI win. To start off with a win here in Atlanta is big.
So taking a look at the damage dealt, you've got 42 for PJ, 42 and 35. Everyone going just about positive for the most part. other side of things. Really not a bad performance at all from Godlike, considering the score at the end of it. It's just the objective time. That's where the big difference is. As Chloe gets over 2 minutes inside the hill, and the top scorer in terms of overall time was just trunked to the minute 8. So again, the objective focus not as strong as it needed to be for Godlike. I think in particular P1, P4 is where Elevate found a lot of unexpected time.
Yeah, especially, I mean, that very first P1, it's like we were even talking about, like even that 15 seconds going into the second set, it was big and it was momentum because as previously stated, that Godlike were forced to play inside of the hard point, and it just played into Elevate's hand, just being able to read and deconstruct how every single setup was mostly set up for themselves. A lot of good moments for a lot of different players, and yeah, when it comes down to Trunks, that 45 kills that he did drop kind of got bolstered at the end with a massive 9 spree that he went on. But semantics aside, this is an Elevate team that was formed to win championships. They already have one on their belts when it comes down to this year. This is a big moment for them to be able to win this as clean as possible.
Absolutely the case. So a great start. And Respawn is, I think, the biggest thing we have to keep an eye on for this Elevate squad, because that's how they were able to beat pretty much all of the Chinese teams. And X-Rock in particular, that matchup was a fun one to go back and rewatch, just seeing how they really kind of bullied X-Rock in a number of different moments throughout the hard point, and especially the control. Did not take a search and destroy from them, but Chinese search and destroy is very good. So
Pretty good.
It's pretty good. Well, you know,
yeah,
not bad. But we go to a firing range for map number 2, and this is where Godlike's series would have to bounce back, considering that they already beat this Elevate team here before.
And again, where we are 2 for 2 on firing range search and destroy map number 2s, but the only issue is when you go back as far as history is concerned, not exactly a positive win ratio for Elevate. And I think that that's when you go back and you watch that firing range search and destroy between these two teams at CDSI, is that Godlike were able to take advantage of just how well they were isolating target after target. It's almost kind of like what we got out of Gallerus versus Tribe in our very first series of the day. That is very similar to how Godlike had a winning moment versus Elevate in this map number 2. Obviously would be everything so that they can extend it into a raid control for that square up, whatever that may look like, but still a massive moment here for Elevate to learn from their previous mistakes.
The other side of things here, this Godlike team, I'm really curious to see what their search is going to look like this weekend. And again, it's not often we look back at the Indian region and take much away from the previous results.
Sure.
Save the matchups that they played versus Vitality.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I'm kind of looking over the numbers is like, Godlike either are incredible at search or very poor. I mean, we're looking at a lot of lopsided scores early throughout this year, a lot of 7-2s, 7-1s. You get to CDSI, couple of tight overtimes, 7-9s there, here and there, but there are a couple of really bad losses. It's just kind of hard to, look at results like that and say, well, what's going wrong here for Godlike? Is it just because one player has to pop off when they do things snowball, or what's going to be the case? Like, what's the identity of this search going to look like?
Yeah, that much was evident, especially getting 2 land for CDSI. Very, very toss-up when it comes down to even the 2 search and destroys that they play versus Vitality. It's just stark comparisons. Consistency is very important when it comes down to Call of Duty Mobile. And yeah, the highs and lows will surely be there, but it's 11:35 local time here. You needed to wake up quite some time ago. You needed to be prepared for this matchup yesterday.
See what happens. Again, best of 3s. No forgiveness.
No.
Everything comes down to what you were able to build leading into this event. Smokes, 2 of them thrown over through mid here. As Godlike on the offense are trying to maybe pull Elevate towards B with this hit down mid. Problem is, shot lands towards the play at B, and now Elevate are very aware that there is a play through mid.
If you've been living under a rock and not watching what Elevate has to offer, Wompy's dead now, but Kendi is an absolute superstar. Big trades will at least come through. It's going to force out the 2v3.
But Elevate do what they need to do to try to limit the damage on this quick play through mid. Now the focus just goes purely towards B. Susano playing a very close corner here at Tires. May actually catch something as there's a slide over. Doesn't know where exactly he wants to take the aim, as there's a couple of players nearby. Nice shots from PJ, who can now rewrap this. This is a brilliant little micro movement step for him, as he can just kind of double up and play this backside to isolate. Doesn't need the help, though, does Susano, as he finds a little shot on the Neutrino. And first round will go to Elevate.
Yeah, especially off of the trading of the nades, as ceremonious as it is when it comes down to be execute. I love the decision-making coming through from Elevate, just to suppress, at least make sure that a player's watching the flank. But once you get the information coming through from the slide, just fully engulf them. You have the numbers. Wonderfully done.
Same smoke here for Godlike up the middle of the map. This time, though, they're playing a little bit more passively. They do find first blood, but Yopi aggressive out of 10. finds one but can't step away from the trade from Abiz. So we'll keep the numbers advantage, 4v3 early for Godlike, who have now taken a bit of a pause, trying to tally up where exactly these last Elevate defenders are.
And learned, getting a lot of information. Are we going back over towards B? Are we full sending over towards A? Seems that it will be the latter. So have to worry about PJ with this Fennec inside the trailer.
Drop the bomb.
Stuff from Elevate, locking things down. Smoke out again. This doesn't really affect PJ. He still has a little bit of a cross that he can see here. Abiz steps through, catches the first. PJ doesn't really know where he is. Doesn't know where he is.
Where did he go?
Where did he go? He's a ghost. Abiz in and out like a phantom.
The smoke grenade was so timely for Aviz's success there. Was able to get back behind the bomb, catches one elevate player lacking. And then by the time you try to turn for that trade, or PJ's, your teammate's gone, you're chasing ghosts at that point. Brilliant response for Godlike.
First time we're going to see heavy stacks of nades over towards the A side of the map here for Godlike's offense. A couple of spam shots over through the woodwork as well. Nothing going to land as there's a double stack of Elevate defenders inside of trailer. Counter nades coming through just to make sure A stays clear. But Godlike have shown some restraint. The focus was through, and they actually catch Klo, who tried for an early flank through jungle. Doesn't work out, and now numbers will allow Godlike to approach.
So have two players lurking around wood. They're actually going to send Neutrino all the way through from the flank, but they have lost Trunks. So 4v4, you're not really in a position to try to give up this bomb site. You're kind of committed to this now if you're Godlike.
Yeah, halfway, as Abiz, I was about to say, is trying to work things over to the middle of the map. He does find another, so now these defensive players should be able to just keep their focus on trailer, but doesn't work out as Yopi connects on to learn. And Neutrino's long flank now all of a sudden has to be win condition. Abiz clears out trailer by just walking in, but gets caught swapping weapons. And Neutrino's not going to clear America, so Susano will find the easy kill, and Elevate will get their second.
Just strange. I mean, once you get a player over on the bomb itself, just ready to plant it, you're kind of really relying on Trunks in that moment to fully clear inside a trailer. Once you lose that life, you're kind of hesitant on what you're supposed to do with your two players watching the flank. Neutrino's flank just needed to come through a little bit faster. Not really well judged for the timing as Elevate take a one-round lead.
Trophies splitting the map here as Godlike will not get aggressive early. Instead, they're looking for quick contact, and they actually get some wall bang onto PJ for first blood. Stun through mid just to make sure no one's lingering towards the front side at trailer. And I would imagine that Godlike are going to start to put together whatever their intentions are here as a follow-up nade stun combo goes top side A.
Wow.
Trino lands one onto Susano's forehead inside of mid-tin.
That is a hell of a nade. First stun didn't connect on anything. Second and the third nade over by A. It doesn't connect with anything as well. Now, you'd have to imagine that a player still might be lurking inside of America, but these last two players are isolated. To say you have numbers advantage would be putting it lightly. Yeah,
they did kind of clear this out a touch with nades inside of the trailer, so they should be able to safely commit to the A plant, and that will be the case. Small tally of a follow-up kill, though, comes out of Elevate. So Kendi, Klo need to try to work this, and they're going to do so independently of one another. One from one side, one from the other. What does Klo's COD timing look like here? Kendi holding very patiently, waiting to see if Klo will catch any contact. We gotta go, boys. And oh boy,
not enough time.
Just, yep, right in the Bermuda Triangle goes Klo between three different Godlike members. Good damage onto one, but the clock is the issue. Kendi able to connect, but he has to stick. I mean, you have to stick this. Klo may have a chance to help out here. Hold on a second, but Abiz, he hits the shot that matters. No more defuse, and he even connects onto the pistols for the final.
I mean, that's a massive moment for Abiz. You're kind of forced into two different situations as a pro player there. You have to help out your teammate, but most importantly, their win condition has to be that angle from showers. Wonderfully done there for Abiz to be able to get the shot that mattered the most to confirm a second round on the board.
Looking at a live tally of what the performance looks like thanks to our friends at Snapdragon. As we get early action once again, snipers exchanging kills. Klo going to be getting a lot of focus here. Good support nades over the top through middle, though. They're landing right all over this Godlike offense, softening up the hit, and that's enough for Klo to somehow finesse for two. The follow-up through the middle of the map is good, though, for Godlike, and they should be able to get a B plant. But Yopi is also seeing bottom 10, so no need for it. Initially, the defensive nades over the top
was
looked
great.
Absolutely critical.
That was great. That was exquisite to watch from the mini-map. All the nades coming over and then the hit soon to follow. That's just some of the brilliant teamwork that we have seen from Elevate, especially recently. But it's Godlike now to flip the lead. They have a one-round lead now. Offense is just going to play rather passive, see what information they can find off of their nades.
Now smoke through middle just allows the Bees to watch that cross through trailer. Couple of spam shots also just whisking by. Kendi looking for the follow-up. Oh, he's just gets caught in no man's land. That should lead to a commitment onto A with Kendi out of the picture. You got to be thinking this is post-planted A all day long.
You still don't know if there's a player lurking inside a trailer. It's actually a 3-player committal that's actually coming through jungle defensively.
Yeah, but the post-plant is set up for this setup, and Trunks nearly does it all himself. Doesn't even want the pistol. Give me more of that. Takes down 3. Klo also tagged. Easy follow-up from Neutrino, and Godlike up 4-2 at the half.
Big momentum swing for Godlike. They got to be feeling confident now. You've beaten these guys here before. They can smell that raid control very nearby as we will flip sides. Elevate for their opening offense. It is firing into the end of the day. You will see a lot of nades through mid, but Elevate's numbers are favoring that to be.
Learn able to connect onto a car bomb for the first. Nade to Trunks does damage, but not enough to get him out of a position. He almost gets the reload for a third. Yobi able to get himself at least one trade. The retreat back is desperate though in nature, and Godlike can smell blood in the water. Susano trying to hold, but not going to be allowed to. And Godlike take the first defense, and now a wide margin starts to exist in the scoreboard.
And 2 more rounds, and Godlike will be loading into a third and final map here in their opening best of 3 versus your CDSI champion of Elevate. And Trunks is just playing out of his mind. Up to 10 eliminations so far. Passive setup coming through for Elevate. Just trying to see what information they could possibly get out of Godlike, and it's a first blood.
Yep. Bees will drop. Sniper out of the picture all of a sudden. Bomb acquired. For Godlike's defense. Elevate. Spreading the map. Trying to take their focus over towards the A side. Stun over the corners to make sure no one's holding close. There will be question marks about if there's anyone inside a trailer. Learn tallies. There's a couple. Trying to threaten towards A. He wants the action. Gets a couple of hit markers, but nothing more, and that's going to lead to a post plant.
Flank comes through from Trunks, and he finds the utmost perfect timing for 3. Knows that there might be one more player over inside of Showers for sure now, as Susano will find that trade, but the bomb has been dropped on A.
What a route. What a route. And now Susano trying to finesse. Pulls the attention to Godlike. 60 seconds to play. Klo, a little bit of sneakiness of his own. But look at the proactive movement from Godlike. They're going to take Showers, saying we can still just jump peek the bomb. Learn can hold deep to see if there's a cross through wood. And if we have to collapse onto B, that's fine. Bomb gets collected, and the shots from Learn are just not there. So now it's just down to Neutrino 1v2.
Oh, but the timing might not be there for the peak. Gets the timing. You see the one cross, legs him, can't get the kill. And that's all the information you need for Elevate. Plant the bomb at A, play the post plant in America.
Yep. Neutrino also had a second window to try to hit. Doesn't work. Swaps to an Ode. Maybe he can find ways to connect where Learn was unable to. Susano holding the mid cross. Passive setup for Klo on top of the bomb. Neutrino reveals his position with the stray shot over towards America. Now it's just down to Kenny. Got the Odin now. He guesses right when Klo was left, and Elevate will respond.
I got nothing. I mean, I was starting to get increasingly nervous once we saw the last 2 players for Godlike there just separate ever so slightly. They got inside of Showers. A little bit of a further approach coming through from Learn just to be able to hold that angle outside of wood, but gets caught. Elevate 1 round at a time. Diminishes lead to 2.
Shot lands for Kendi onto Learn. Hit marker again, though. And that's enough for those smokes to fade away with really not a lot of ground taken behind that.
Yeah.
In fact, it's Godlike who tried to get aggressive through mid outside of trailer. That's enough for a route for Trunks to rotate back through sandbags, and Elevate will have to consider that that's a possibility, seeing as they were pushed off the mid angles.
And now what utility do you even have left to try to execute on one of these sites? You almost feel like that you have to square up and try to get some of these kills inside a trailer, maybe all the way through jungle, but...
Oh. If you're going to clear a trailer, you're going to run into Prevail with an R9.
Exactly. It is so standardized coming through from Godlike, post all of the utility in this 5v5.
Feels like a round where we saw a Tribe just have to run forward.
Yeah.
Might have to be the same case here. And Kendi will move forward. It won't be a run. A Bees up and over. That was seen. Action happening off screen. Doesn't really result in anything for now until eventually Kendi does connect. So now you can try to flood this. Again, the question will be what comes through middle here as Elevate, again, have not put eyes on mid at all.
You got to be worried about Learn in his positioning through mid. Actually gives it up for the timing. Comes down to Prevail to maybe try to stop this. You're not going to expect the player directly to his right, and it is just unfortunate disaster for Godlike in this 5v5. Elevate brute force their way onto the A site. Neutrino, good luck, have fun, buddy.
It looked like it was a retake stun to try to get Prevail out of trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it landed. There's a trophy that I think was placed late by Elevate. May have stopped that little bit of a flash push situation, as no one was affected by it. At least if they were, it wasn't for long. So 2 in a row for Elevate gets us back to within 1. Godlike on this next defense. Defensive smoke gets placed deep through middle. Aggressive nades for Elevate, but they have to respect the smoke. You can't just stack at backside obstacles, so they have to hold and wait to clear wood before they can move on to A.
Very similar setup coming through for Godlike defensively. Players inside a trailer. You got one player watching that very long cross of a bees. Does not want to get first blooded by Kendi, who has had his number for the past few rounds when it comes down to first bloods. But Elevate not liking what they saw. Kind of pushed them back off of that smoke like you were talking about, just playing for the timing. Still hanging around over by the course itself. Stun's not going to connect with anything as well. Question marks for Elevate.
Oh, the bees gets 2. Lines him up on the corner. Wallbang double, by the way.
Yeah, wallbang collab.
You think the Tundra has some piercing power?
No. I've seen more.
I've seen less. Elevate stuck. 60 seconds to play. They have, the thing about this is, a bees finding that collapse, they still have no idea there's a crossfire setup inside of trailer outside A.
And then what do you even do? I mean, like, Yopi has the bomb. He's trying to at least catch a timing, maybe a stray shot to be able to get an elimination. But we're down to 45 seconds. You have to commit towards one of these bomb sites, and it's not going to be B. They don't have enough utility to clear all the corners around tires.
And the bees can just play this safe corner. They know they've got the advantage playing in trailer. And if things get really mixy, Neutrino can also rotate over. Trunks is going to step up. This is bold, and Susano misses. That's enough for Trunks to find a couple of bees finishes it off. Godlike will get to that point.
Yep. No more funny business coming through from Godlike. You won 2 in a row if you are Elevate through the offensive incursions, but Godlike shut it down. The big first blood is coming through.
Defend the objective.
But most importantly, it was a great answer for the utility. I mean, Elevate just had so many question marks. They did not know where to go.
Opening focus for Godlike. Getting aggressive. That stun will land. That's one way to kind of counteract offensive trophies. Just push so far forward that you just get it too far deep. Doesn't result in a first blood, though, as Kendi will stay at least idle over towards A while the rest of the focus moves into B. Neutrino nearby. Gets a couple of hit markers. Not able to find PJ. Where's Trunks? He was right here. He got on a crossfire, but he allowed Elevate to get into the site, and that makes this a bit of a mess now defensively.
Favoring towards the reload so that way he can take at least 2 more gunfights. And it forces Elevate just to kind of give up, almost expecting Trunks to overheat, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah. Same breath, Kendi also drops on that island towards A. So this hit for Elevate has to come over, and whoa, Trunks does overheat a little bit. Thinking maybe he's got timing, but once more, it's just one of those moments that he's going to look back on and say, I didn't need to do that. We've got A control already. We've got good focus here at B, and that's now a door starting to open up a little bit here for Elevate to try to retake onto this B site.
Not saying that as an excuse, but if I had 16 eliminations and a firing and search and destroy through 10 rounds, I probably would overheat as well. But it could be a crucial moment. 3v3. Abeez's position could be everything. Knows that at least one player had cross. Just waiting is Prevail for that timing off of what Abeez can see off of contact.
Yep. Should be an angle to stop any desperate plants on B if they trust it. Prevail may have caught some contact. A late rotation back to A. And at the same rate, Godlike are sitting here saying, well, this surely has to be B. They're going to be late to the party here. Abeez has to be careful of 10.
All the timing.
And now it's down to really just learn. Does he want to peek this? Nade is being cooked up. Does this land for Abeez? There's still trophy systems nearby, but it's still enough for Learn to push. He finds not just 1, but 2. Trade is decent, but there's no more time on the clock. Godlike will take the firing range against Elevate again.
It's a very, very bold move there at a moment's notice. Even in a 3v3, just you're on the B bomb site rather than try to commit and pushing all the way through from the information. They saw Prevail, and they thought that as an opportunity. We have 2 players over here. Surely the third is probably watching mid, which, albeit they were, you have 20 seconds left to rotate all the way back through wood to get over towards that A bomb site, where their rotation through America with the Odin, as you saw from Learn, is just so simplistic.
Yeah, and I think the other side of that, and again, it's a desperate play in certain ways, but you know, if you're Elevate, if we're in this 3v3 situation, even if it's a 2v2, if you're keeping someone kind of, you know, watching the flank, you have to be watching over the bomb planter there. Like, we can't just be watching the mid-cross. We have to be helping the bomb go down successfully. So, a couple of moments in there where you look at and say, ooh, not as tight as you'd like to see, but I think if there were to be a weakness in Elevate's game after watching CDSI, it would be in their search and destroy.
Absolutely.
And of course, it is, again, a run-back map that they had already lost to Godlike in the first place. So, moments of life here for Godlike, even in the face of a Trunks takeover.
16 eliminations is insane. Also had a Herculean performance in the map number 1. The scoreline not as competitive or as convincing as this one here, but again, I think you're just gotta respect it for what it is, right? You're gonna see firing range everywhere. Like, you gotta have a firing range search and destroy when it comes down to Call of Duty Mobile competitive, but also at the same point in time, I do respect it for Elevate, leaving it in against Godlike. It is the one map mode combination you did lose to them previously not too long ago at CDSI, but this is what I was worried about going in towards a raid control. Control as a game mode may not be as well versed for some players. However, when it comes down to raid, this is a bread and butter. And if Trunks is shooting like this, it might be a certain problem for Elevate to deal with off this momentum swing.
Yeah, but the side of this, that, and again, we'll talk about this in a moment, is Godlike don't play raid. They just don't. They really, I think, you know, you look back at CDSI, they tried to finesse the veto process by playing a lot of Seaside, which was not a popular map in China at all. So that seemed to be kind of the focus. Whereas you look at Elevate and what their history has looked like on at least the control, they were great at control throughout CDSI. In fact, they didn't drop a single control at CDSI. So there is that to play with, including some really convincing results on raid. So this is, again, you know, when you're looking at this Elevate team, how do they go from one championship to another? It's going to be largely through the way of the respawn.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that has been their winning combination as well. And that's why you can just see just how loose they are on the stage. They understand, yeah, search and destroy, maybe our weakest game mode. That's not exactly great conversations to have for yourself when it comes down to a potential best of 7 should you make it to grand finals. However, the respawns, should you close out a series early and fast enough through your slaying prowess and just how meticulous we saw them breaking every single hardpoint that Godlike were set up for, why not have the same copy-paste moment when it comes down to raid control?
Very true. Other side of it is there's some PTSD built into Godlike on this stage, on this map.
Well, when you put it like that.
All the long-standing COD Mobile historians will, of course, remember that this was the last moment of their World Championship run versus Wolves, and it was a map that we look back on and say they should have won it. They had two options. The stack, they just forgot about the objective. Now, talking with these guys while they were here early, they said, look, we know we messed up, but you learn from moments like that, and not having been in a situation like that before, mistakes like that can happen. Sure. That's a growing moment for sure. It comes with obviously a lot of pain, but there's no better way to come back and find recovery than stepping onto the stage again, nearly another 10 months later, and being able to win this map versus a very quality opponent on the other side.
Can't ask for a better test than a team off of recency are coming into a raid control 13-1 before this weekend even started. Yeah. That is a tough ask, but again, when we talk about control, Arsenal, Seaside, to your point that you brought up earlier, you're just not going to want to face off against Elevate on a map mode combination that will enact a spawn trap inevitably should you lose the opening salvo. But raid gives you a fighting chance, especially when you do have some pretty darn straight shooters on this Godlike roster. And to your point again, just learning from everything, what they were able to intake last year came up short, whatever. But I think that this team is always willing to step up to the task, get better with one another. That's why they're still sticking together as a team to be able to see what they can also do here on the global stage once more.
I really want to see how polished this Elevate control looks.
Me too.
Like, it's one thing sitting back and watching it. It's another to like actually be actively breaking it down and making note of the small things that they do well.
Yeah.
That's sometimes just be missed if you're opening up and watching 4 streams at once right now, by the way.
Which you should be.
Which you should be.
Yeah.
Multiple tabs, friends. There's an app for that.
Quad box it. But you know, it's just a beautiful thing. And there's so many games that are happening as well. Even from our perspective over here, we can still see the BC and D streams as those games are still going on. Just bangers after bangers. Par for the course when you're at a World Championship.
I got someone on a map 3 Seaside control over there. It looks like it's on the Delta stream. Not sure who's playing that, but that's something to keep your eye on. Could be Upset City happening over there. You know who's playing there? What you got?
I'm trying to find out.
All right. I love your effort.
I tried. It's the thought.
It's the thought that counts, yeah. Well, regardless, we're ready to go here for match A, so stick with us as we jump on into a raid control. Godlike trying to find a way to possibly give an early upset, so to speak. It's hard to say with any sort of like solidified confidence because this is your runners-up from last year, but they are playing the recent CDSI champions, so, you know, call it what you want, but it would feel, I think, like an upset in a lot of ways.
Control, if you're unfamiliar, capture segments on the zone. The more segments you capture, if it goes round 5, you will get defense, but if you can win by kills, if you can win an offensive round, good for you because it is very difficult to do.
Yeah, this is what we come to expect. Kendi's going to snipe whenever he possibly can. Early defense, though, for Elevate. Already being tested over the top of DB zone. And Godlike will come away with even exchanges on overall lives. Able to step on to pause the clock for a minute, but not even a minute, it's a second. Counter nades are good, and that's enough for Godlike to say, we're done with this site. Let's move over to A.
Yeah, might as well try. Got a lot of space in the middle of the map through rocks, but nobody's inside a kitchen yet. Neutrino's just a little bit late to this. He's expecting a hit to come through from pillars, and albeit it does, the pinch is just not good to deal with. But Godlike still hanging around over by the A control zone, and we'll keep the clock stalled for now.
Yeah, second tick of progress on the way. Bedroom control still in hand, though, for Elevate's defense, trying to recover over through the front side at money window while simultaneously pinching a bees. Little left-right combo. Oh, almost takes it into the left-right, and then the instant haymaker out of the Tundra, but Prevail will get the elimination. Second tick lock, third now on the way, and here comes Elevate trying to flood, but Abiz standing in forward, able to at least eliminate this defense down to single lives, and that's enough to extend the clock an extra 60 seconds.
Okay, it's insane how that does end up working in Godlike's favor. Trunks' position off the respawn was actually still holding the entirety of the flank. A very slow start for how good of a series that this young man has currently had for himself, but Abiz, with that sniper rifle, is going to be potent enough. It's a 2-life deficit for Godlike, but they have so much more time to work with over here by the ring.
Oh, I thought for a second Trunks was about to absolutely world star Klo. Doesn't work out, and as Klo keeps his life, he turns that into a second elimination. So now 12 plays 9. Advantage to Elevate. 3 ticks is all that's been tallied to this point. Minute 20 on the clock, and Godlike are putting together at least an attempt to pinch. I mean, you've got a player in Neutrino deep in the defensive spawn, and he's going to call for more assistance. They're trying to rewrap laundry here.
You also have the same thing happening on Elevate side. They have a numbers advantage here, Alan, and with a clock that is going to be in their favor as they're starting to clear over by Garage. Players still hanging around ring. You're pretty convinced at this point, if you are, Kenny, that you can just hold the angle. What the quick scope was that?
Nade in the left hand, sniper rifle in the right hand. This guy hits the gym. Tell you what. Follow-up from Elevate, working out for a little bit of spawn pressure, as now it's just down to the last 2 lives for Godlike. And there's just nowhere for them to go. Yeah, so 3 ticks of progress is all they're going to find. Learn just doing what he can to try to reduce the life gap just a touch, but good defense from Elevate, all things told.
Absolutely. I mean, being able to at least read the situation where the initial hit is coming from is one of the more difficult parts when it comes down to control, as Learn just trying to make it punishing there at the end. Yeah, I mean, hold on a second.
I mean, he finds one more kill. He may get this first tick of progress lot. That could be important.
It might be. Gets the first over towards pillars, but the pinch from Laundry is inevitable. So 3 segments, thanks to Abiz's efforts and Neutrino as well, over by that A control zone. But yeah, great defense coming through from Elevate, just being able to win not only the opening engagement, but keep Godlike pinched in the middle of the map. It exhausted so much of the clock.
And this is what we often talk about with control in COD Mobile. You've got operator advantage now for Elevate. The defensive win. They're going to pop the Sparrow and the War Machine initially, but it's a nade from Neutrino that actually stops Yopi's Sparrow before we can even take a shot with it. Neutrino hasn't been able to do too much with his War Machine either, so not a lot of value here for early operators as Elevate continue just to kind of wait for their moment to jump onto the A zone.
Not exactly what you want to see as an Elevate fan, but a great response coming through from Neutrino, not only from the nade itself, but just the single operator that was expended to keep Elevate at bay. That 1-for-2 trade is going to be good. And then you force Elevate back to the drawing board, try to play through the middle of the map. They're already up to the pool side and inside a basketball court, so the clock will stall at 56 seconds.
Yeah, lots of nades being thrown here as Elevate are not just happy staying on the zone. They want to get aggressive. Close, surprised with the equalizers out. B's able to turn that into technically 2. He gets the quick scope for one, the nade for the other, but elevates tensions on towards the A zone. Still looks strong as mid-map focus continues to bleed over towards the Garena squad.
Yep, look at the setup coming through from Godlike. I mean, they are just inside of Garage. A grenade will unearth prevail from the AC units, but from the positioning that you have, if you are learned, look where everybody's spawning, just in a linear and one-dimensional path into Neutrinos, having himself a great map number 3.
Trade is decent though. Elevate can at least still frame up some sort of a hit. But look at the Godlike defense. They're setting up the Zim trap. They've got it. They've got the gym control. They've got the AC control, and now you're just screwed. I mean, if you're looking at this from Elevate, you're hoping you can jump onto the point, give yourself the extra 60. Why are we not jumping on the point and giving ourselves the extra 60? There we go. Finally, we jump on forward, but now you've got to turn around. You have to deal with the spawn trap. I mean, you still have learned, teeing off, and finally, it's someone who spawns up in the form of Susano to turn and find the elimination needed.
But now you have to start realizing, why are we spawning inside of the gymnasium? It's because there's still one more player inside of the spawn. And they have a Claw. It is Trunks, who hasn't had a great map number 3 thus far, but this Claw inside of Art just might be the final thorn that Elevate has to deal with. It is 14-8, and Godlike have been in the spawn trap since yesterday.
Tough timing there for Trunks. Tries to step in with the Claw, but loses its channel and gets caught with a knife out. Still, though, 4 life advantage. Prevail gonna call the equalizers in through Art.
Okay.
Yeah? Decisions were made.
They sure were.
He's going to be able to lock down this front door, but it just doesn't feel super necessary, especially considering that all of Godlike are still around this zone with complete control of it.
I mean, it's just such an unnecessary resource to throw away. Especially once you inevitably do win this 10v5. The Elevator now out of respawns that you might just need to be able to convert one of the upcoming zones for an offense. All speculation aside, Kendi's going to be able to take down one.
Yeah.
Getting further positioning here on ring. There is a flank, though.
The thing is, with this kitchen control, Elevate should know that they've got Godlike spawning out. This is still doable with the flank from Trunks. They have just taken the last life out of the lungs of this Elevate offense. And yeah, B's tallying onto Susano. PJ, last one left, also gets shut down. 3 ticks for both sides so far through our first 2 rounds.
Yeah, 3 segments each, so even playing ground. But again, it mostly comes down to the resources when we talk about converting an offense in Call of Duty Mobile, when it comes down to being able to turn what almost feels like this is going to be sent towards a round number 5. 1 operator currently in the hands for PJ. Kendi also going to pull out the War Machine as well, just trying to win this defense before it even starts.
It's an Annihilator battle in middle. Beast has the last word. Kendi has to rotate with the War Machine. He popped this early, just hoping for something desperate. Not going to really work out over the top, so Bees will jump on. Clock will pause at a minute 10. And kitchen control also looking good here for Godlike. It's going to be an early stack for some very early success here on the A zone.
Neutrino has been a problem. If it's not with the Odin, it is surely with the nades and other ordinances, including the War Machine.
Killer drone deployed.
Hunter-Killer Drone going to try to move themselves a little bit further forward. Watch out for player number 3 in blue, trying to work himself up a little bit of a flank. Is currently sitting up inside of bedroom, and this is a lot of pressure that you have to turn to deal with if you are Godlike.
Yeah, that's just a really good timing on the pinch. Klo from one side, Yopi on the other. Stops the second tick before it can be fully captured. And now you're forcing this Godlike offense to have to go A because of the route through the bottom side at bedroom. So now all of a sudden a little bit of trouble here for Godlike, trying to get some feet underneath them on this approach, but a couple of kills after the backside of the smoke dissipates allows them to at least reduce the elevated defense just a touch.
And now what resources do you even have to try to combat it against this? So you got the 2 seconds over at A, but just look at Elevate just suppressing them as PJ just jumps from the rafters, finds himself yet another kill, 15 to their name. And now Godlike forced to march across the pool side. They need this 3rd segment.
Yopi tallies the inventory of how many players are here, almost gets the transfer for a couple, but again, that's what Yopi does. He's the first man in, the rest of the team cleans things up. 16 seconds on the clock. Currently being paused with focus over towards B. That's going to have to be where Godlike tries to get an extra 60. There's just no way to get back over to the A zone, and the equalizers from Klo clear out Art. Then with that, now Godlike are just kind of back and forth ping-ponging between which zone they're trying to attack.
And it's just because of how proactive Elevate are, just being able to find all these kills, they either march through Art or they march through the Zig stairs just to try to make sure that Godlike can spawn in very precarious position. PJ up top with the Odin, just letting them have it. Trunks was 1 shot. Kendi will claim his own life, but it should just be the round here. No respawns remaining for Godlike in 8v4.
Oh, but they do find a couple of kills. Second tick is done. 3rd possibly getting a tally here with that. Yopi in for the contest. Last second to come through, and Godlike will actually be able to stop it a little bit longer, but not do much more beyond just a small contest. So 2 ticks added on to the tally, and with that Elevate looking good from their defense again.
Yeah, I think that second segment is pretty vital. Obviously, 2 is more than 1. That's how increments do work. But at the end of the day, I think that Godlike did have ample opportunities to be able to capture that 8 control zone. It just comes through from the timing for the player in top bedroom for Elevate. But you need a defense here if you are Godlike, and you need it to be a very potent one at that to maintain that round 5 defense should we get there.
Now PJ gets up top, already has another Annihilator from when he started last round. These shots, though, not fully hitting, at least initially, but is still zoning out this Godlike defense. Knows he's got a player backside jungle and tries to sniff it out before the Annihilator charge runs out, and that's where it will end. 3 battles for Godlike over the top of A has worked out nicely, but Elevate still with a big staging setup will throw every single nade to Neutrino's direction, pushes him off, and Elevator back onto the A zone already.
How do you get yourself out from here? A lot of it has to be through the money window, but the crossfires, the gunfights, just the timing is just coming up all Elevate. Second segment lock. Equalizer now out from Prevail, and it's actually working out wonderfully from Trunks on the pinch. But still, so much more work to do just to maintain presence on this map.
3rd tick being contested. Prevail aggressive with the equalizers. Shuts down 1 through Zig. And again, it just doesn't feel like the greatest of timings for this equalizer. Like, we get a little bit forward, but you know that Elevate's going to be stacking over for A. They get the extra 60. That gives it the tick advantage as well. So at 18 plays 18, the equalizers are done, for at least for Godlike standpoint. And Elevate are still working on playing out of this position.
Yep. It's always been the investment and the return of investment for the operators. We talked about that even on the Hacienda map. Number 1, Elevates have just been that much better. Neutrino, another war machine that, is able to find a couple of kills, but we have to start thinking about what this position might mean for us. How much more space can you deny from Elevate? You have a 3-life lead. You need to suppress him here.
Yeah, and this needs to find value because you don't want to spend any other operators knowing you're going into a round 5 offense if you can hold these last couple of moments here. So a lot of macro gameplay going to be questioned for Godlike as they're only enjoying a 2-life lead. And it doesn't even feel super confident considering the middle of the map is not anywhere near theirs, but Prevail Trunks able to follow up and make sure that everything is counteracted beautifully. 11 plays, 6 and Elevate have to come out of spawn again.
You're running out of lives.
Prevail existing inside of Art is hitting routes. No more respawns remaining for Elevate. This has surely got round 5 written all over it.
Yep. So Learn will have an operator, Aviz will have an operator, and I imagine Prevail is probably close as well. Other side of things for Elevate, Yopi, Sparrow already at the ready for him. No one else has anything charged. And Neutrino's also been able to earn himself a Hunter killer drone. So maybe a chance if you can tally a couple more kills for Predmus. That would be massive for the round 5 offensive attempts.
Would have been good.
Excuse me?
Yopi? Let's imagine. Imagine. That would have been insane. What a Herculean conclusion that would have been, but it's not to be. But the problem still remains for Godlike. We haven't seen an offensive win, but we have seen at least Elevate being able to deny that 3rd segment coming through from Godlike. Would have been the difference in if going up to kills for a round 5 offense as we look at the resources for Godlike. Need to find value with the Sparrow off the rip.
Yep. Not good. Boy, actually will be used immediately. I mean,
yep.
Yopi loves to do this, where he's just blindly taking the Sparrow out, not even knowing necessarily where the hit's coming from, just to hope he can just stop it before it happens. But the problem is, he doesn't get anything with it. The Hunter killer drone shuts it down. This is possibly where it happens. Prevail stuck in a corner, doesn't know which way to look, able to still find Kendi. That's enough for the 1st tick done, the 2nd on the way very quickly. And Elevate spawning towards Laundry have to hope these nades start to land. None of them are. So a 2nd tick gets captured, and you may have to chalk this if you're Elevate.
Oh, you do. It's about a 2v4. The other 2 reinforcements coming through from Elevate are just way too late in the reach, or just too clean as well. But PJ in the timing inside a money window. How have you gone away with this? The Hamburglar of the 3rd segment is Elevate. Godlike back to the drawing board.
Godlike were already on rotation. They thought they got the 3rd tick for free.
It looked pretty good.
It was about a fraction away from being completed, but now Elevate starting to work back on their retake. Sloppy off the reload for both players. But still goes the way of Godlike for now, but the defense will restabilize, enjoy a 2-life lead, and still have a pretty convincing spread of the map.
Third segment being depleted is crucial in this situation as well. The lives aren't even too far gone either. Godlike actually trailed by a single life, and now you have to work on this third segment from scratch again. It is almost feels like anger coming through from Godlike, just constantly trying to throw their way towards the pool side, but now you're just spawning over there because wouldn't you know it, you got someone in your spawn.
And the problem is you have to keep flooding to get this extra 60 seconds. Kendi only able to find one with the War Machine. Now you've got PJ with Annihilator in the face of so much utility from Godlike. 14 plays 10. PJ just trying to hang on backside basketball. He's able to connect. The War Machine gets shut down. Same breath. So does the Equalizer. PJ, pop it off. 12v7. 19 seconds on the clock as this contest over towards B, but Godlike, they need this extra 60 and they cannot find a way to get back onto A.
You might need the extra 60, but you need an extra lives. Strungs has to pull out the claw just to maybe try to find a little bit more value, but it's 2v11. Godlike are currently falling by the wayside. Elevate will win this round number 5 of Control, and they will go into the 1-0 club.
Oh, man. That's one of those moments again for Godlike. It's like, what is it with this darn map?
Yeah.
We were a fraction away from getting the extra 60. They're thinking objective, objective, objective. Let's see if we can quickly transition back to the top of the map. Wouldn't you know it, Elevate was waiting to retake, and they stop it before the capture comes through, find the kills they need, and then there was just never a chance for Godlike to come back after that.
The only analogy that comes to mind is that when your eyes are bigger than your actual stomach. It's so difficult to try to decipher because the late hit that inevitably came through for that pinch that stopped that third segment from being captured. You can't blame Godlike because it was so mistimed, but it ended up working out perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, the thinnest of margins. So Godlike was right there, almost to possibly pull a bit of an upset over the CDSI champions. Not to be, though. The respawn just too good for Elevate to start off their first round of the Swiss as they will move on into the 1-0 bracket.
It's just one of those things that, like, I feel like that Elevate, albeit we wanted to see more from the firing range search and destroy, we know their steps to success. It's all in the respawns. The way that they were able to manipulate and isolate so many different players and force Godlike to play so timid. And then it really came through in just how resourceful they were with their resources in response continuously. When you go back and you dissect the 2 respawns, it's going to come through with the amount of pressure that Elevate did have over Godlike just from those resources and gunnies alone.
And I think the thing about it is, you know, reflecting on the Hacienda for map 1 and then also kind of tallying up some of the results that we saw from CDSI, especially against the Chinese teams in Hardpoint in particular, is that Elevate have not been restricted from map motion. They are running and doing whatever they want on the map. I mean, this particular matchup, Hacienda was just kind of given to them because Godlike were just not contesting the power positions that you often expect. You know, they're getting the early rotation, but they're allowing, you know, setup positions to be earned by Elevate, and eventually you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's kind of the same thing at the end here with round 5 of the raid control. They had so much more map control than Godlike did, and that eventually allowed them to just run away with the victory.
I think when you give so much space to Elevate, it allows their superstars to actually show up. Because again, it's not just the capability of how high they are able to go for their skill ceiling, but it's also their ability just to be able to take all of that information to be able to get as many kills as we saw take from PJ.
Yeah, well, PJ had a monster matchup, 32 and 28 overall. And FDOT is on the main stage with our post-game reactions with PJ.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Like they said up there, we got PJ down here, but your stats were all the way up there, man. You really reached into the backpack and brought something extra. Where did you find that this early in the tournament?
I think besides the device I'm playing, it's also my gameplay, so there's only minor adjustments, but I think I did great on this series, and I'm looking forward to more.
So now you faced up against India, who really came up last year, made some noise, like specifically was a strong team. Who else in the rest of the tournament are you a little concerned about?
I'm looking forward to Galoris, LG, then the 3 China teams, Wolves, X-Rock, and Q9.
Sounds good, man. You really put together a great show so far. Good luck in your next ones. Congrats on the win.
Thank you, and please keep supporting us.
You love to hear it, folks. The friends local are doing a good job as well, getting loud. And Beef Mommy's somewhere. She's definitely got an update for us.
Woo, man, that was a close one for Southeast Asia right now. Garena teams doing a really good job. Moving on to the next round. And of course, speaking of another Southeast Asian team, we do have Stalwart Esports giving the 2-0 on the board. You definitely want to see that, of course, but when you're talking about 2 zeros, that was the story before, but in this time around, in round number 1s, of course, we didn't see the same thing. 2 1s for both Indian teams, but it seems like they're having such a difficult time when it comes to that control matchup. It's 4 Magic versus Vitality, where we initially actually saw Hacienda being played 130 and 250. They were very dominating, and of course, Tech leading the scoreboard over there. And when it comes to that search and destroy and takeoff, unfortunately, they couldn't really get it in the bag. 8 and 6 going to be their score line, and when it comes to that control, again, it reached round number 5, and whoever was on the defense, they definitely won that, and 4 Magic did a phenomenal job. They're going to be moving up, and for sure, they're going to be meeting Elevate in the scoreboard. Of course, this is a Swiss round, so there's still a lot of matches to see today. A lot of streams happening B, C, and D, so make sure to see us in our social media. We'll see you in a little bit.
Hey, we're Elevate, we're at DreamHack Atlanta, and we're here to win the Codem World Championship.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Monster Energy, DHL, and the United States Air Force.
Never getting low, set for vertigo, further as the crow. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to DreamHack Atlanta, here for Call of Duty Mobile Worlds 2024. My name is Proper, and I'm joined by the LatAm powerhouse known as Galleries. And honestly speaking, it's been a long time coming that I've been able to have this conversation with you all, watching your entire road to get to this point in time. But before we get into all to the meat and potatoes of this interview, I want to introduce yourself to everybody that might not know who you are.
E aí, rapaziada, sou Mihawk. Fala, rapaziada, Pabizeira.
E aí, rapaziada, sou Henrique.
E aí, rapaziada, foca aqui.
E aí, gente, sou Lucas.
You've been at the top of the food chain for Latin America for a very long time. How does it feel to be so close to getting that first place? Do you feel like this is the team that's going to get it done?
Olha, doeu bastante essa não conseguir chegar ter o título, né? Tanto que a gente montou um time muito forte para isso, era o nosso objetivo, mas só que a gente não imaginava que poderia chegar numa final e ter tanta capacidade para conseguir esse título em tão pouco tempo. Mas isso só foi para carimbar e aumentar mais a vontade de que agora é o momento e a gente está colocando todas as nossas fichas agora nesse Champions. E é isso. Foi para não ter conseguido o título na Masters, para, se Deus quiser, agora.
It's nice to be humble, I suppose. Lord SKS sitting on that chair right now, so it's come a long way since then, I'll tell you that much. Well, Pabs, you're actually one of the other few players that have actually been here last year for DreamHack. Obviously, wasn't exactly the outcome that you wanted. Does it feel different with the squad here?
É claro, é totalmente diferente jogar com o meu time. Esse meu time aqui, para mim, é minha família. Então, tá com eles agora, o Mihawk, o Henrique, o Foque, o Lucas, para mim é uma felicidade muito grande. E é isso, a gente tem um desafio enorme agora pela frente, mais um Mundial. E é isso, vamos dar o nosso melhor e, se Deus quiser, a gente vai ser campeão.
So then, to you, Mihawk, you have a long-lasting friendship with both Foki and Hen as well. How do you feel like that influenced some of the chemistry with the team, and did it influence your skyrocketing to be a top team today?
Cara, eu acho que conhecer o Henrique e o Foque desde 2018 com certeza deixa o clima e nossa química assim fluir mais fácil. Eu acho que é sempre muito divertido jogar com eles. Eu não consigo parar de rir em menos de 2 minutos, sempre estou rindo, então eu acho que se torna tudo mais fácil quando você está jogando com amigos e pessoas que eu considero como família. Então,
how does it feel to be surrounded by so much talent from the Latin American region?
Então, acho que a pressão é normal, né? A gente vai ser o time que eu acredito que o geral quer derrubar ali. A gente é um time forte, então o geral vai focar na gente. E a gente está preparado sim, a gente vem treinando muito, como o Henrique já comentou. E é isso, estamos preparados. Se Deus quiser, vamos trazer esse Mundial.
Anything that you want to say to your fans out there ready to cheer you guys on this weekend?
Agradecer todo o suporte, toda a comunidade que apoia a gente todos os dias. A gente sabe o quão difícil foi a gente chegar aqui e pode ter certeza que a gente está sentindo toda essa energia, está sentindo todo esse apoio e é uma honra estar podendo representar o nosso país aqui. Mais uma vez, se Deus quiser, essa vez vai ser diferente de todas as outras.
É isso aí.
É isso.
Vamos!
Vamos, Brasil!
Pra cima, caralho!
So that was our time with Galleries. Make sure that you guys stay locked in and watch what these guys are going to do all throughout the weekend here at DreamHack 2024 for Call of Duty Mobile World Championship.
Hanging out here in day one of the Call of Duty Mobile World Championship. We are 2 matches down. On the main stage, quite a few more have been completed over in our pit as well, as things are moving along. Teams are starting to nail down potential seeding positions in the brackets, and some are starting to worry about their positions here on day number 1 already. It's a really savage day, but we swapped out our casters. We brought in some new faces. We've got Tun and Infinity joining us now for the next 2 matches. Excited to be up here now. It's a global stage.
I'm super excited to be here, and honestly, we've seen some super games so far, and I just want to see that competition continue for that, because if anything is to go by those first 2 games, I mean, some of the games in the pit as well, we've had some surprises there, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. We're setting ourselves up very, very well here on day 1.
Yeah, lots of storylines, right? Right, Infinity, I mean, coming this way, especially with Galler's doing well and everybody kind of underestimating them a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we heard that a lot, right? We were talking about the interviews, we were kind of interviewed different teams, and a lot of people said, like, you know, Gallerists are not to be underestimated. I think they just proved why in the first set of the day. I mean, we still feel that because we casted Mobile Masters and we saw what they are capable of, so I don't think the people should be underestimating those guys.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be keeping a very close eye on them so far, but we mentioned it, we've had lots of action happening, whether that was here on the main stage or also in our pit, so we're going to take a look back at our Swiss bracket and how things have gone so far. Now, Shift obviously explained it to everybody at home, but what happens is you play against each other. If you win, you go against another team that won. If you lost, you go against another team that lost. You'll move forward in this Swiss bracket, and we're starting to see how some of these other teams have done so far, Time.
Yeah, win 3 before you lose 3 is always the easiest way to try and contemplate it in your brain. But look, there's been some surprises in round number 1, specifically though, and Brody, I don't know if you want to touch on this one, but Vitality losing their very first game, that is crazy.
I can't believe it, honestly. I mean, Vitality, I've kind of sat with the coaching team for a little bit while I was doing my interviews yesterday, and I was seeing the amount of preparation they put into these games. To see them lose against a roster like Full Magic Petrini almost immediately is absolutely wild to me. That is a massive upset, especially considering how much we've hyped that team as the super team. I'm not too sure what maps they actually ended up losing, but I mean, just to see them lose a hard point at all is crazy.
Well, we'll keep those games going, and we'll also make sure that we keep you all updated at home with how everything's turning out. You also see LG up there against Stalwart, Q9 against to Elevate later on in the team portion of the bracket that has won. As we get another chance to take a look at our amazing trophy up here on the stage. Did you guys get a chance to look at that in person? Did you see how massive it is?
It's nearly as big as Proper, to be honest. It is quite large, but yeah, it's impressive, and I love to see that we have this big stage behind us as well for all the teams that are here. It's been a really good celebration. There's so much going on in and around the stage. We've got the graffiti artists, everything like that. It's just so cool at the moment.
Yeah, and things are going to only get better every single day as we continue on in the competition. But if we're continuing on, we have to start talking about our next match. Okay, our players are starting to get ready on stage. We have match number 3 coming right at you. You saw it there on the schedule during the break. It's Gallerus versus Wolves. Obviously, got to see Gallerus kick things off at the top of show, Brody. It was a great matchup.
I mean, Gallerus are just such a good team, right? And, we talked about kind of the players to watch coming into this tournament. Obviously, Lucasin is kind of top of the docket for that. He delivered on that in the first match of the day. He was going off in the fire range, search and destroy with a sniper rifle. Business as usual for him. And then, of course, in the Summit hardpoint as well, just putting up the regular numbers that we expect. I do want to give some love to Mihawk, though. He's a player that's constantly underrated on this roster. He also showed out in that Summit hardpoint. So for these guys, I think, a lot of doubters out there, before we got into the tournament, maybe they wouldn't perform. They've shut people up after the first round.
I mean, we heard it in the interview as well, Ton. I think one of the biggest things was the team chemistry. They were saying that at the end of the day, they actually just have fun. And yes, it's still tough competition, but they're laughing with each other. It's the friendship bond, and that's definitely helpful.
And I think that's super important to have in any team in any game, really. You want to have that friendship. It makes it so much easier just to work together. Because, look, realistically, you have to put these hard hours in, and it's a lot easier if you're spending it with people that you enjoy spending time with. Not all can be said about the casting team, fair play, but at the same time, for these guys, it is just very much that important factor to have that cohesion between each other.
Well, this match is not going to get any easier for them because on the flip side of things, they will be going up against our defending champions in Wolves Ton. So talk to me about this roster.
I mean, they're a roster who, yes, okay, they won last year. They are a very, very talented team, but since then they've struggled to kind of get to that level since then, though. That has been the problem. Fulfilling what they were able to do last year has been a little bit difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I think, that is just a crazy thing. Just how much they dominated last year, right? They only lost maps to Q9 and Godlike. Then coming into this year, they haven't won anything in their own region. They go to CDSI, and albeit they had a high placement, right? They were up there with the best of the best. They were not the best of the best. And I think that's going to irritate them coming in this tournament. They are going to be fired up to be better.
And I wonder, coming into this, it is the tournament they won last year. They are defending champions. Does it give you that indication that you're coming into it in the sense of you're defending your title? Is that going to give them the extra kick up the backside, so to speak, to get the job done, to improve themselves? Have they worked on stuff? Is it this environment that they thrive in? We're going to find out very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well, right, it's important to note that China has gotten a lot better as a region over the last course of the year, right? And nobody expected them to be as dominant as they were last year, right? To see Wolves take it all the way home and Q9 getting as high in placements as they did. But that region has only got more competitive. Wolves has only got better as a roster as well. They are a very scary team coming in this tournament.
Well, if last year was any indication, or even what we're just seeing now coming out of the pit, there are always surprises in store at this event. It is always anybody's game, which is why we call it the era of everyone here for the Snapdragon Pro Series. But we have mentioned the fact that they obviously have a lot of experience as a roster here in Wolves. You guys kind of alluded to it, talking about them. Here is a breakdown of their placements of yore, and it does kind of paint a pretty solid picture.
It paints a solid picture, but you're seeing a lot of numbers from 2023 here. I ain't seeing anything at all from 2024, and that is the big problem. Very, very solid throughout that entire 2023 year, trying to Masters first and second, then first, obviously, at the previous event of the World Championships in 2023. Since then, we're not seeing anything, Brody.
Yeah, it is just, I think, the raising of the competition in China, honestly. I don't think it's an indictment of Wolves as a roster. I think it's the fact that you have rosters like X-Rock, for example, which were not at the World Championships in 2023, that are, of course, the best team in China, or were maybe before CDSI. You have Q9 that have also gotten better as well. Just the competition in that region is so hot. They are all so good. It's kind of very much more difficult now to do what they were doing back in 2022 and 2023.
And then they're going to be facing off, you know, the team in Gallerus, and is Gallerus potentially the next Cinderella story like we saw out of Godlike last year? Or now are they going to be facing off against a region, like you're saying, that even if Wolves doesn't have the place that they're hoping for, they're still going up against a region as a whole that is incredibly skilled?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that people would even try to paint it as a Cinderella story, because like they did so well at Mobile Masters. Like, are people forgetting that they absolutely stomped Q9 in groups at Mobile Masters? Like, all right, yeah, they got to the grand finals and they didn't have a fun time, but like during the group stage, they were not only competitive, they beat them handily. Like, Gallerus are not a team to be underestimated at all.
Well, I mean, we were casting that game and we were going into it, and the favoritism was towards Gallerus. Because of what happened in that group stage game. It was arguable that they fumbled the final just a little bit. So, okay, that's something to go negatively towards them, but they still very much had it within them to win that game and win Mobile Masters. They are very much a team to watch for the win this weekend, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, one of the final pieces of this discussion is going to be the maps that they've chosen. We have those ready to go, so we'll pull them up here and we'll start talking about it, because we're going to be kicking things off here with a Summit hardpoint. Talk to me a little bit. I see your face already here, Tom.
Well, I mean, we just got an opportunity, I believe, to see them on Summit and Gallerus at least anyway, and obviously going very, very well for them. Rotation to P3 was really, really solid the way they were around. So often we see that be quite chaotic, but it was very much down to that. We've seen Luxin take over because that's what he does. Time and time again, though, we need somebody else to shut him down on this map. If they don't have that, Wolves, it is going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, though, from memory, I think Summit Hardpoint is a very good hardpoint map for Wolves, so they'll be happy that it's in this best of three. The thing I want to point out, though, is actually going to be the Seaside Control at the end of this best of three, of course, if we get there. Seaside Control is going to be an interesting one because it's played so much in the East. If you guys watch CDSI, you wouldn't know that we only casted it like twice in the Snapdragon Pro Series for Season 5 for NA and EU. And I think that also goes for LATAM as well. It's not a map that's played in the West all that much, and so I wonder, going into that map number 3, short of obviously of, you know, all the preparation that Gallerus would have put into that map, whether or not there's kind of some favoritism towards Wolves there.
Well, that'll be fun if we, like you said, if we're able to get to that point when it comes to our best of 3. But that means it's time for me to start picking your brains a little bit here too. Obviously, we've got a chance to kind of highlight both of these teams, their strengths, potential weaknesses, and now that we have the information when it comes to their map pool, I want to get your thoughts on how this is going to play out. Brody loves this part. So this is Brody's favorite part of the entire competition every time.
He usually sits on the fence, though.
Well, let him go last then. So you can go first here, Ton. Who do you think's going to win?
I have not sat on the fence at all. I want Gallerus 2-0. Honestly, I just loved what I seen from them in game number 1. I loved what I seen from them in Mobile Masters the last time we got to see them on an international level. They are a solid, solid team. I'm going to go for a 2-0. I think Wolves haven't necessarily dropped off, but Gallerus are starting to rise, and I think it's a good time to finally go up against Wolves and see how they do.
Usually I'd just say you don't know what you're talking about, mate. But actually you're talking a little bit of sense, I will say that much. That was a brilliant Gallerus that we saw in the first round of play. So, you know, I'll respect it a little bit. That being said, I think Wolves are kind of underrated somewhat coming into this matchup. I think people are kind of looking at the fact that X-Rock and Q9 have been better teams in China, going, Wolves, yeah. But that is not the case whatsoever. I think Wolves are an absolutely terrifying team. They're so good at hardpoint. They're incredibly good at search and destroy, but like pretty much everybody from China. I do feel like this is probably going to be a Wolves victory, but I think the hardpoint's going to be close at least.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just a case of we haven't seen them, so it is still one of those ones where we could both be right. You know, realistically speaking, both these two teams have it in their locker to give us a good game, and that's all we want. It's early doors. We just want to see some good games.
I mean, Brody thinks it's going the full 3. You put it on 2-1.
Yeah, this is before I saw the maps. Actually, I said it was going to be 2-1, and then I saw it, and I was like, okay, actually, I think this is. I'm going to change it slightly. I'm sorry, production. Say it's going to be a 2-0. That's kind of where I'm at now. I think, you know, I think the hardpoint is going to be close. I think beating Wolves in a search and destroy unless you elevate is basically impossible. So I think the search and destroy is definitely going to go Wolves' way. I think the hardpoint's going to be close, but I still think it's going to be Wolves.
We've been getting a lot of differing opinions up here between our casters on the desk every time, and I'm here for it. I like the debate that we're getting back and forth. We're going to ask everybody at home the same question as well. Who do you think is going to be taking home our 3rd match on the main stage? Will Gallerus get a 2nd win so far on the day, or will it be Wolves who will kind of stop that flow that they've managed to start for themselves? We're going to be getting into match number 3 here in just a few moments. Before we do that, though, we're going to give our players a few more minutes to get themselves set up and ready. So we're going to send it to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pô, rapaziada, vamos amassar os caras, Henrique.
Vamos amassar, meu amigo. Vamos amassar.
É isso, mano. Amassa os caras, bora. Fechou. É isso. Bora, fechou? Fechou. É isso, bora, Luqueta. Amassa os caras. Fechou? Amassa os caras. É isso, chefe. Bora. Vamos, rapaziada. Amassa os caras. Que é galo, rapaz.
Something that you've never seen. We run like a wild machine. Watch out, cause we're baring our teeth. And there ain't no in-between. With fire, you're gonna get burned down to the wire. Now what did you learn? We're coming for you. You don't wanna mess with the winner. Ice so cold, make you shiver. You're looking at a cold blooded killer. We're coming for you. It's going down. We rain on the room like a storm. Yeah, we're way too big to ignore. We'll shake you, we'll rattle the floor. You know what we came here for. Play with the fire and then you got burned down to the wire. Now what did you learn? We're coming for you. You don't wanna mess with the winner. Ice so cold, make you shiver. You're looking at a cold-blooded killer. We're coming for you. It's going down. You don't wanna mess with the winner. Ice so cold, make you shiver. You're looking at a cold-blooded killer. We're coming for you. It's going down.
Set fire to the cold river. Set fire, sealed and delivered. Slow burn, shot to the liver. Heart so cold, make a grown man shiver. Wake up, don't be afraid. Make love, but don't be tame.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging with us. We are back live and ready to dive into our third match here on the main stage for our Call of Duty Mobile World Championships live from Atlanta, Georgia at DreamHack. It's been a really fun day so far with some surprising results, some potential upsets, if you will. We saw, you guys mentioned that about that Vitality matchup over there in the pit, a little bit surprising, and I'm hoping we'll have a little bit of time later on to kind of really deep dive that and see what we've got going on for that matchup. But for now, our players should be about ready to go. If you're just joining us, we're preparing for our match between Gallerus and Wolves up here on our main stage. This one should be great. Gallerus and Wolves both being squads that have already won one in our Swiss bracket here so far. And they are about to see if they can win another because it's time to get into our Summit Hardpoint.
Well, here we go. Summit Hardpoint. It is going to be Wolves taking on Gallerus for what is the first winners game, if you like, in Swiss. Both these two teams winning their first game to get to this stage, and it's already a battle between two titans on the stage. This is feasibly a semi-final later down the line.
I mean, yeah, these are two of the best teams in the tournament, right? Gallerus, again, I know a lot of people are kind of underestimating them to a certain extent, but Wolves, obviously, I mean, we know, short of something crazy happening, that they are going to go deep into this tournament here at Call of Duty Mobile World Championships 2024. So, yeah, this could be an absolutely banger matchup that we might well see later on in the single elimination bracket. For now, though, we're treated to it a little bit earlier on, and we are going back to a map in which we saw Gallerus have success earlier on today, but Ton, the opponent, is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little little different. I mean, look, there was a lot to kind of pick up towards Tribe to see how they were going to do, and it just didn't quite go well for them. Gallerus looked really, really strong coming out of the gates. We've seen performances from Lucas specifically, but everybody on Gallerus really pulling their weight in that one. They will absolutely have to do the same here up against Wolves as we get into Summit. Anything particular to watch out for here on the Wolves side, because we haven't seen them yet on the broadcast, Brody, but going up against Gallerus, we know what they're about. What are Wolves going to do?
It's going to be side for me. I know we're in Summit hardpoint, right? So the ARs sometimes can maybe have a tougher time than the subs here on this map, but for me, Zai is an incredible player. He is widely considered one of the best players in the world, and of course now he's got that fiance buff to go with as well. So Wolves Esports here going to be looking for that kind of slaying power to get control early on of P1.
And I think, you know, you talk about slaying power, you talk about Gallerus as well, so it is really going to be a battle around that. We know how well versed both these two teams are in the art of war. Pigs kicking up well here though for Wolves Esports. It's a nice little total to get a hold of. 30 seconds and nearly counting over towards P1. We do see teams pick up a decent chunk of time. They're trying to do that. Gallerus eventually find a way through. But we're heading over towards P2 in 20 seconds time, and Wolves Esports will be very happy with that so far.
If you're Gallerus, you'll take this scrap time, but you ideally do want to make sure you break through towards this next hard point and of course flip the spawn to the inevitable rotation towards P3. For the moment though, your gunfight's going up, down, up top. For the most part in favor of Gallerus while looking for that scrap time.
Hardpoint identity.
Zai will find a double. Peg also looking for number 3. Wolves haven't quite got the numbers just yet in towards New. As Peg finds a couple of kills though, Gearton, this might be the moment for Wolves to get control.
Trying to get control, but also obviously trying to get these rotations over towards P3 is going to be super important. Gallerus will maybe just a little bit slow into this one, but no surprise to see already the streaks coming in from Lucas. He's starting to find something here now, and eventually they're looking to try and find a break. Can they manage to get it? Not quite. Wolves still in the point.
Yeah, big flank player coming through. Though Miko going to get red from Peg. That is a big double coming through from Peg. That's going to ascertain the spawns for that next hardpoint. The money kill here on Summit hardpoint, if you like, for Wolves Esports. It was a big gamble there coming through from Gallerus to make sure they make that spawn to happen, but it does not. So Wolves now in control for this hard point. Wolves still in control of spawns.
23 seconds to try and find a push through. You do get a spawn towards ice if you are Gallerus, so it's an opportunity to try and find a way through, but Wolves finding those kills through the front door. Spawns though, going to be a little bit contested here now as Mihawk trying to find a way through, doesn't win the gunfight, and that could have been the recipe for, well, disaster for Wolves, but Gallerus couldn't get it going. Wolves will once again be the first ones there. Not going to be able to find the kills on the transition. So for Wolves Esports, it's a really good hold at P2, and crucially, that rotation over towards P3 belongs to them as well.
Yeah, you talk about the last series that we saw, right, where Gallerus had so much success here on this hard point. It was this very kill here. It was the operator usage, I think, that did make the difference for them. And you look at what Wolves have in the back pocket now. You've got 4 operators. One of them has already come out. Zaya's got a double already with the claw. And now you're just looking for any of these kind of players that are trying to cause some havoc around the back line. They're getting caught off, though, and Zaya's keeping an eye on around the front as well. Gallerus, they're trying to get through, but it is so difficult when you're facing down these operators.
Wolves to come out absolutely swinging here in map number 1 and continue to gain control. Gallerus getting spawns towards the back now, but 30 seconds to go. Can they make them count? Sometimes just as hard to push from the backside as it is from the front, and now they're a little bit split. They don't want to be spawning towards the back when we'll be popping over towards the next hill in 25 seconds. Still, the kills are falling the way of Wolves. They're about to break 100. Spawn be damned. Wolves keep it home.
Henry even just spawned in the backline there, and he was read it again perfectly from Wolves. I mean, every single time that Gallerus have kind of thrown something, Wolves are able to adapt to it so quickly. There is that full 60 from Wolves. Now we focus on the rotation. You are 70, 80 points down here in this game ton. You have to win these gunfights.
And the positive for Gallerus here, though, every single operator available to them as we head over towards P4, but can you make it count? Are you, well, maybe just gambling on that being the difference as we head over towards this hill? A full 60 is, of course, doable towards P4, but we're still very, very early in this game. Gallerus have more than the ability to bring this one back. 3 kills from Mihawk in the blink of an eye. It's a good initial hold. 10 seconds gone on this hill. Wolves Esports will have to have another go.
Everything is out for Gallerus all at the same time here, so they are ensuring they hold this time. They have to make use of them. Keep the Wolves at bay. Snapping at the heels right now of Gallerus' side, trying to make his way up the Snow side. Fokke giving them looks with the R9, gets a little bit of help from Hen from the side as well. So Gallerus doing well at the moment. Here comes that spawn flip around the back line. Wolves looking for the last 25 seconds. Peg gonna invest the equalizers to get it done. Peg will find 3. Peg will make 4 kills happen inside the hard point, and Wolves now just taking time away from Gallerus.
Big investment coming in. Reggie managed to find the kills and find the breakthrough, but Gallerus were immediately back, and all of a sudden, they've combined so well. For all the 4 kills came through, they matter not. A slight break comes in from Wolves, but Gallerus will fight back. They will get the majority of this time. We're going to be heading into a second rotation. It is going to be about a 50-point game in the favor of Wolves Esports. But Gallerus with a really good hold over towards people will give them hope throughout the second rotation.
Yeah, you can of course use that hard point if you're Gallerus. Well, Wolves are called Wolves for a reason, right? These guys are hungry for these wins. And a big win here in map number 1 would be damning to Gallerus. So they're still competitive here in this game. As we get into the next set, though, Wolves are already starting to win some of these opening engagements. All these key power positions being watched by Wolves. Luxing going to win one fight up top. Perhaps away in here for Gallerus.
It's exchanged over towards P1. The thing for Gallerus, you look at the previous rotation of Hills, that really did come down to P2-3. That's where they lost a lot of their time, but gained a lot over towards P4. No investment of the operators over towards P3 possibly hurt them. They were in positions to do something, but they decided not to pull the trigger.
To be honest, though, I'm not sure if the operators in that moment would have been the right call, right? You're already facing down 4 operators on the other side. What good is one operator, 1 or 2 operators actually going to do you short of something absolutely spectacular? I know that's what operators for, but at the end of the day, maybe they are kind of glad they held them back for P4. Regardless, though, here on P1, Wolves have got a wealth of time. We often talk about kind of P1s, the effectiveness of getting a load of time on that hill. Wolves have just done exactly that there on that first hill of this rotation.
Fantastic again from Wolves. P1. When it gets mixy, they are very much in their element, and they manage to find the majority of the kills and the majority of that time. It is now a 90-point game again. Gallerus have been fighting off the back foot through the majority of this game. Foki will eventually find that kill. Took his time about it. Finds the second as well, though. Is this the catalyst that Gallerus maybe need to get going? Can he find any more from Foki? There's 4 in a row. Can they break the spawn? Not quite. Still there for Wolves Esports, but contention over towards P2. Gallerus still in control.
You have to push through off the back of that 3-piece. You can't just sit tight inside the hard point and wait for Wolves to push you, because now you've done nothing to the spawns. Wolves still in control of the spawns for the next rotation. Of course, that was the kill that was a problem for Gallerus in the first set, and now here comes the investment off the back of it as well. Side for 2 kills. The rest of the squad are also here, causing all sorts of carnage inside the kill, and now this is problematic for Gallerus. Big kill, though, from Mihawk, and that might break the spawns.
Yeah, a little bit of a rogue spawn coming in from Mihawk, but he still has some trouble to deal with. 5 seconds to go on the previous hill. He will eventually get wiped out. Wolves Esports, they tidy up where they need to. Gallerus, there was an opportunity there for them to get back into this game. All of a sudden, you're thinking you get some P2, you rotate over towards P3, and maybe we are back into this one. Wolves Esports all of a sudden in a really good position to, well, nearly close this game out. They are going to be around 55 points away from the win, but the investment now coming in here from Gallerus. This is not what we've seen the last time around, but the investment the other side coming in from Wolves. The Sparrow is damning, and Wolves Esports will continue to hold over towards the back end of P3. They are 52 points away from the win.
And that might well be one of the moments here at the end of game number 1 that we look to. This might have been the moment the Wolves win game number 1. The investment from Gallerus, they held it back to this hard point. It does not work. Perhaps they can get it done with the guns, though. Trying to push this through. Back spawns here for Wolves still in effect. But as I say it, Gallerus, they all just get cut down as soon as they even look at the hard point.
They really do not have many more lives remaining in terms of mistakes that they can make. It has to be perfect again here over towards P4. It was nearly last time, but they need to go above and beyond that. Wolves Esports will make their way through the rest of the map as they do soak up that final bit of time. 2 players staying back there just to make sure. So this will be a hard break to find initially for Wolves, but the hard point is arguably being done across the rest of the map. You are only 9 seconds away by the time we head over towards P4.
Now Wolves just dominated Gallerus here in this game, much in the same way really that Gallerus won the last time at hardpoint in their first match of the day. Gallerus in control. They got a full set last time around. Opening gunfights also looking pretty good here. King trying to find his way through, infiltrating the top side. Also has help from the rest of the team as well. Wolves, they're on the way. Back spawn still good for Gallerus, though. Is it good enough for the hold?
Can they continue to hold? They did have a break come through the previous time we were here over towards P4. They are just about holding on this time around as well. Luxin doing what he can. 26 kills to his name, but looking towards the kills for Wolves Esports. It's been across the board, but Peggy has just been a thorn in the side. He may well be the one to break the straw of the camel's back. They find a way through. Pabsra can find one back. They're just about holding on, but with 20 seconds to go, Gallerus still in control. The close spawns are here for Wolves. They're still 5 away.
They're holding on by their fingertips at this point in time. Wolves just 5 points away from victory. There's not a lot of time left to do it inside this hill, but they're just pushing Gallerus back. They're looking for it regardless. Lucas in Pabsra, and now King. Can he do anything? Absolutely not. So Gallerus will hold for that time. And they've actually got a good look towards the next hill as well, Ton.
They've got a good look, but they need to hold 5 more seconds if you're Wolves Esports. Rotation now coming in. Not able to find the kills on that rotation. It's going to be Wolves inside of the point. Gallerus, are you going to be close enough to maybe contest this? Not quick enough. Wolves Esports come out the gates flying and find the win on map number 1.
And it it really is kind of ironic, isn't it? The way the Galerists won their first map of Summit Hardpoint earlier on today. It's almost exactly how Wolves did it right there, right? We often talk about kind of the importance of that rotation towards P3, how much of a money heal that can be, how sticky those back spawns actually are. But I think more than that as well, Wolves knew how important those were and made sure they held back their operators, not once but twice. Both rotations they did it to ensure that that was their hill.
Yeah, and I think that was really the catalyst for them, wasn't it? We've seen look, I want to say P2 to P3 was really where they were finding the majority of their success, but Galerists were letting them do it on P1 as well. For all that, Galerists did find themselves, what, 140, 150 points. I think 120 of those were on P4 both times around. So I think, you know, you've not got really a lot to write home about if you're Galerists in that one. That will be a disappointing result for them, disappointing for the guy who predicted a 2-0 as well. But coming in for Wolves, that is a really good performance to kick off their main stage weekend, if you like. Going up against some strong opposition. Doubters be damned, I suppose. Huh?
Yeah, not all of us can do predictions, mate. Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, if you want to go there.
It's fine. We're only first match of the day. I really shouldn't be doing this at this point, should I? Yeah, regardless, you know, Galerists, I want to give them some props, right? Because they were doing the right things. They recognized, you know, after the first set, okay, this is very clearly where we're going wrong. I think we saw that on the second attempt towards P3, right? We're like, no operators in towards P2. There's no point of doing this. We're just going to hold them for a break in towards P3. They tried, and I think it was the 3-piece from X-King with the Sparrow kind of just ruined their day, right? I think they invested 3 operators, and all 3 of those operator uses went down. So that's tough. It happens, but incredible hard point coming out from Wolves.
How often do we talk about the efficiency of those operators? It's just so crucial to try and find wins, and hard points specifically. You have to make it count every single time, and boy, did Wolves do that. Yeah, coming in with 34 kills, but it was Peggy that it felt like he was the one just making those small little differences. You would see 2 or 3 come in at the right time from him, especially with that equalizer in hand. Never a bad thing to have in the back pocket. On the other side of things, Lucas didn't do what he usually does. He found that positivity, but I mean, look, he's a guy we're expecting 40s and 50s from, and that's the kind of thing they would need if they want to go on and find a win up against Wolves. They need him to be performing at his best, but that was a tough game. But Galerists always, I honestly believe they were behind the entire game there. So it's one of those things when you're fighting from the back foot, you're always fighting from behind on hard point. It's not a position you want to be in.
No, and you know, I think another thing as well from those stats that you guys just show, right? We go back towards their game versus Tribe on Summit Hardpoint, and you know, we talk about Lucasin. You expect Lucasin to perform, right? Lucasin has never not performed in these games. If he does, it's an anomaly. But you know, we saw Mihawk, you know, turn up in that first match of the day. He didn't there. He was just shut down. The SMG presence was definitely neutered in that map, and I don't think it helped them whatsoever, especially on those hardpoint breaks. You need SMG pressure, and it just was not there. So Wolves starting this series strong, and now, Ton, as we get into the second map in this best of 3, the Search and Destroy, you're kind of shaking a little bit, right? Because Search and Destroy, I think China are pretty good at it.
Yeah, fairly decent in fairness. But look, let's see how it goes. We have seen some surprises throughout the tournament already, and that is what we love about LAN. We love about these big tournaments, that these surprises can happen in many different ways. Would it be a surprise if Galerists went on to win this session straight? Absolutely, it would. But both 2 very good teams up on that stage. But I think, you know, if Wolves, for me, in that scenario, they're winning in the way that they did in map number 1, is, I don't want to say I would argue it's maybe a bit of a statement win. Coming in up against a team like Galerists and doing that to them on Summit is a big win to find.
Yeah, I think it's a statement win, you know, just in that map number 1, right? Specifically because of the fact that, you know, you go into a best of 3 against any team from China, right? And your kind of strategy is, look, you know, we're going to try to win the Search and Destroy, but ultimately you kind of need to steal the respawns away, kind of like Elevate we're doing the entirety of CDSI, right? And, you know, I think for these guys to not only win the hard point, but win it so convincingly, I think is a statement coming into the Search and Destroy. I mean, it's just such a massive confidence booster. Not the Wolves need the confidence, let's be honest. But still, this Search and Destroy, I don't know what to expect from Galerists. We saw some great snipes coming out from Lucasin. Whether we can get ourselves in position to do so again here on Takeoff, it's not quite firing range. They're a little less so here.
Let's see what they can get going. It was a dominant map number 2 for Galerists in the Search and Destroy we've seen from them on the main stage to kick off the day. They're going to need to find something similar here in map number 2, but we go over towards Takeoff. It will be Wolves on the defensive side for the first 6 rounds. We'll switch it up after that, and Neon's coming out of the gate almost immediately. Pabs are taken down. Peggy finds another. 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2. Now in the favor of Wolves Esports.
And they know where the last player is as well. I was going to say easy, no. Mihawk actually going to pick up that kill, so this is still possible here from Mihawk. Players were separated. They should come together relatively soon. So on the hunt though, did he just see him? Yes, he did. The pre-aim, now just seen him again. Mihawk for the slide out, and Zai's going to get him with the movement. Wolves starting that round aggressive and strong.
It's that opening pick that comes through. Big fight back actually from Wolves down the right-hand side of the map. They find a couple of kills and maybe had something going, but not quite able to get there with it. So Wolves will find themselves at round number 1. Opening pick caught me off guard, not gonna lie.
Sometimes these teams are like that, right? Aggression again. I love this play coming out from Peg, right? Getting control of that area of the map, making sure here that Gallerus are pressed in towards A. That's going to be a problem for later on down the line. For now, though, Gallerus, they're focused on this A kit. They've picked up Neon. This is possible.
Where is the opportunity? But where is the potential flank? Peggy now finding himself from behind. Papsor will get taken down the other side of things. Then they try to push through, and Hen gets taken down also. Mihawk finds one back. 2 versus 2. Peggy will find another. This flank has just been so efficient from him, and now it's all down to Lukashin. Can he continue to just hold this one down? The bomb being defused. He's already dead. The retake from Wolves. So effective. It's all about that flank coming in, though. He finds 2. And that just entirely shuts down the attack from the side of Glorious. Wolves find another round.
Yeah, you know what? You know, very often I do see teams there on the defense kind of get into that position, right? That corner building, and just sit there because it's a power position on the map that you take away from the offensive side. I didn't expect him to go for the full flank. That's a very egregious play. But you know what? Props to him. It works out. Gallerus boxed in round number 2. Round number 3, the strategy does not look that different. Taking the exact same spot, but this time he is holding himself back.
That's the opportunity now for Gallerus. Worked out for them. Getting onto the site wasn't the problem. Are they going to be able to do it again, though? Wolves will surely have invested a little bit more over here, but Zai has gotten taken down, so all of a sudden the numbers are here for Gallerus, but you're probably not expecting this from Peggy. 1 and 2, it's just so easy. Finding route after route, and Wolves are really relying on him to do the business so far in this search and destroy, and boy, is he doing it. 5 kills to his name, and nearly all of them have been in the back.
Gallerus just don't know how to respond, right? They're going to be constantly concerned about a potential flanking player. X-King kind of gives himself away for 3 there. Very wide peek 3. Here comes that flank from Peg. It's read by Mihawk, but it does not matter. Peg's going to win that gunfight all day long. Numbers still favoring Wolves here, and the routes being taken from Peg right now. So frustrating.
Oh
a second for free. Fokke down for the count, and an extra couple of love taps as well.
This on the cards. Peg will jump around the corner. He won't be able to find it. Found 4 in the round. And has it actually solidified it for his team. Trying to just play with Pabs right now, who's in a whole lot of trouble. That's a quick 1-2, and that is 3 for Wolves. In a row on the defensive side. Dominant, especially from Peg, who is just a thorn in their side consistently.
It's kind of like Gallerus are playing stuck in the mud, right, at pro level at the moment, right? You know, they lose that first blood, and they're just like, well, we're just going to freeze like a rabbit in headlights, and Wolves are just able to play around that so well, and nobody does that better than Peg. We've seen that through the first 3 rounds of Search and Destroy kit. Same kind of route being taken, but the adaptation has been made this time around from Gallerus. They've got a player in wait there. I believe that's Lukashin, waiting to take Peg down, but Peg's adapted this route. This is so damn annoying if you're a Gallerus player, because you're not going to know about this. Lukashin isn't prepped for this.
Which way is he going to come from? That's the side of things that Gallerus have to figure out. But right now, Wolves sitting tight. Peg will find another though, and he is just being a right pain right now. Gallerus need to figure out what he's doing, and he will eventually. They take him down. So even in the playing field, and maybe then some towards themselves, because Peg is no longer alive on the map. 4 versus 4. Time is ticking now, a minute to go.
That's that importance of the adaptations coming through from Gallerus. They're learning. They've got the numbers. They do have to pick up the bomb if they want to take it somewhere. Neon now looking for something on this side of the map. Could well slow things up for Gallerus quite significantly. First snipe's going to whiff, though. Almost gets a look at a second, though. Pabzera's going to punish. Mihawk will follow up with yet another one. Now numbers even more so favoring Gallerus. Big kill coming through from X-King, though, for that power position.
Important that he found that. A 1 versus 4 would have been very different to the 2 versus 3, but Gallerus are letting that time tick down. Not necessarily trying to make any silly moves. He will go down X-King, and eventually King will be left on his own. Gallerus have slowly but surely worked this round out in their favor. I think getting rid of Peg early doors was, well, a big mountain to climb. They eventually get over it and have then starting to walk away with the rest of this round. Really good job.
Uh-oh.
King left on his own. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
He has time. If he peaks at the right time, then all of a sudden you're in a whole lot of trouble. Did the shot go off? Did they get the notification? The bomb will go down anyway, and they will find the round. Gallerus eventually get themselves on the board.
I felt like I was Raven Simone there for a second. I was seeing a vision of the future that that 1 versus 3 was about to go off in front of our very eyes, and I think that would have been wrecking to Galeris. But no, big round coming out from Galeris. The adaptations there, they finally stop in peg before it can be a problem in the early round. And of course, the late round